Hey guys, welcome to another episode of SpeedSim. My name's Amy.
And I'm E-House.
And today we're going to be looking at how to set up your rifle so it's a little bit lighter and functional at the same time.
Yeah, we kind of did talk about rifle setup, like, God, that's going to be coming up on last year or almost 2 years ago.
Can't remember.
Man, we've been running the show for too long. But anyway, we're going to be talking about, maybe how to keep it so that your gun isn't so heavy that you have trouble carrying it for the full course of an event. Because I think people put a little too much stuff on their guns sometimes.
Yeah, you see it every once in a while.
Yeah. Now, I have noticed that more and more lately, people seem to be doing a better job stripping down and not overloading themselves. So, hey, that's awesome. But let's start off with something that I think is going to surprise people. And that is that if you look at the setups on this table, the most anything on this table has on it is this 416A5, borrowed from Ian, who's sitting right here. Not the cool Ian, the new Ian. But all he has on it is a red dot and a light. Now, the 416, unfortunately, especially the A5, is a bit of a hefty beast compared to some other M4 models, like even this standard old school M4, but I think a lot of that comes down to balance. Now, when you're setting up a gun, balance is actually something you want to keep in mind because an unbalanced gun can feel heavier and more fatiguing than a gun that, kind of rests naturally in your palm or wherever you're trying to carry it. Because if you get imbalanced arm wear, that's when you start getting more tired and your life sucks. But that's what a sling is for. We don't talk about slings enough, do we?
No, we don't.
No, I don't think we do. I don't think you can ever talk about slings enough, especially the glorious Viking Tactics sling. But, so that's something that is the number one tip. Don't load your rifle with stuff it doesn't need.
Like, unless it needs the pack box for a battery, you don't need a pack box.
And even then, a lot of rifle setups that I see, people will put a pack box on because it's got a laser on it. It's like, oh, cool, I've got a laser.
It doesn't work outside.
Well, yeah, number one, it probably doesn't work outside. Number two, if it does work outside, it's probably not eye safe and you shouldn't be using it.
And second, you'll get spotted real quick.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of lasers. And I'm especially not a big fan of lasers because a lot of the laser units out there that look like military laser units are way too big and heavy for the amount of functionality they offer for Airsoft. Now, if you have night vision and you want to put an IR laser on there, an eye-safe IR laser, and if you want to put an IR laser on your gun for night vision, that's a whole different story. But honestly, I don't put one of those things on there unless I know for sure that I'm going to be using it for night vision during the course of an event or a game. If I'm bringing this thing out to a local field and I'm not doing a night vision course at River City, then I'm not even putting the IR laser on there because I just don't even want to risk losing it.
And it's weighty.
Yeah, and it's weighty. Because what people forget, I think, is even like with your standard M4, like people think, I need a key mod stock, or not key mod stock.
That's cool.
Yeah, key mod stock would be pretty dope, maybe. But I need a key mod rail, I need flip up sights, I need a pencil barrel, I need an MFT stock, I need all this stuff to have a gun that's lightweight and that's not gonna bug me and that's gonna be easy to carry. Not really.
No.
I mean, honestly, some of these key mod and M-Lock stocks, like this is why do I keep saying key mod and M-Lock stocks? Wow. Some of these key mod and M-Lock rail systems, like this one on the 416, those can weigh more than your standard quad rail sometimes, especially depending on what brand you're buying and what material they're using.
That's another thing you should keep in mind is what brands you're buying.
More importantly, what material they're using.
And exactly that.
If you buy, a key mod, I almost said stock again. If you buy a key mod rail system from, say, I don't know, Aero Precision, and it's actually like a really good lightweight aluminum and it's meant to be super lightweight versus buying a key mod rail system from, pulling out my hat, Dytac.
Yeah.
Like, if Dytac isn't using, I know some Dytac products will use like good aluminum, but some of them are pot metal or any of those Chinese made rail systems that you can find. And same goes for like your receivers for your guns. Like if you buy a gun that has a pot metal thick receiver versus a gun that has like an aluminum receiver.
Plastic, because that's typically what I run is plastic receivers because of that fact, I don't want it to weigh down on me. I know we have huge discussions all over the internet about why you should use a metal one versus a plastic one, but the G&G plastic or nylon fiber, they're not going to break. And there's been numerous tests years and years ago when they first came out. You can drop them from like 6 feet and they won't break. And that's why I use them, and I still use them to this day.
I've used polymer guns, and friends of mine have used polymer guns at all kinds of events. We had someone at I've seen multiple people run polymer-bodied G&G guns at Milsim West games. And even as like Milsim West, as Ian can vouch, that's like the ultimate test of your equipment to a very real extent. And people don't tend to break their G&G receivers. Now, is it possible?
Yeah.
Yes. It's also possible that I fall onto my Crytac and break that receiver. So
Has happened.
Yeah, it's possible that you break any receiver. I think that polymer receivers are underrated.
Yeah.
If you really don't want to hump the heaviest gun, and if you really want to keep it super lightweight, get a polymer gun.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. Now, are they as operator and realistic? No.
Probably
I mean, and honestly, like, you know, that's kind of why I like metal guns, because they're more realistic, and I like the feeling of a more realistic gun.
But you're also not like other people.
I'm an
Massive.
idiot. Yeah, and I'm a Mongoloid. So between those two things, but if you want the lightest gun, I mean, absolutely, that's a valid option. Something else to bring up in addition to guns is magazines.
Yeah. Typically, like, I mean, the ARP9 only has the polymer magazines, but for like the G&Gs that are AR or have 5.56 mags, they make metal ones. They make a whole bunch of plethora of magazines that we've done tests on. Some are heavier than others. So if you want to keep it even lighter, polymer mags.
Yep, and the same goes for AKs too. I have this AK out here as an example. There's polymer AK mags. Get polymer AK mags, and you save yourself some weight both on the gun, and you also save yourself some weight on carrying on your load-bearing gear. Something else about carrying is when and how you're carrying your guns. I recommend keeping the sling on you at all times.
Yeah.
I see so many people who will carry their guns, you know, take the sling totally off and carry their gun like this for the entire event. And by the end of the event, they're wondering why their arms are tired.
Yeah. I mean, you have a sling on there for a purpose. I mean, if you didn't need the sling, why'd you have it on there in the first place?
Yeah. But, I mean, honestly, here's another way you can carry a gun at an event sometimes. Depending on what you're doing at the event, depending on what the event is, set the stupid thing down. Yeah, like when we're at Milsim West games or when we're at Omega, sometimes you're going to be in a situation where you don't want to have your gun on your person, but you're going to have it within arm's reach so you can grab it and get it ready pretty much just as fast as having it slung. So there's no need to wear down your shoulders having your gun slung when you could just set it down. Or especially if you're carrying a machine gun, which I do a lot, those guns are heavy. But if you set it down on its bipod in a setup and you're just chilling by the setup bipod, no problem at all.
Yep.
So that's another good recommendation. Now, another thing about carrying a gun slung, though, is I recommend as much as possible having it over your shoulder and then around your back, like in this configuration, as opposed to having it just around your neck.
Yes, I see a lot of one-point sling people who use. I love one-point slings, especially if you have it attached to your vest. Makes a world of difference unless you just have it slung around your neck, because you get that neck strain is a pain in the ass. Yeah,
neck strain is not a fun time. Now, I will do this sometimes when I'm like in or expecting contact at a game. And I'll do that a little bit with like just the AK sling. If I have like a VTAC or LBX sling on my gun, it's a different story. But this is not really an adjustable sling. It's more of a carry strap. So for the short amount of time I'll be doing this, it's not as much a problem. But I recommend in general carrying like this.
Usually you do it when you transition to your sidearm.
Oh yeah, and if I'm, using a sidearm or if I'm doing something else like admin style, I'll just put the gun on my back so I don't have to deal with it at all. And switching shoulders like that for having your left shoulder be for when it's on your back for dedicated carry and your right shoulder be for when it's on your front for being ready, that actually alternates the shoulder strain a little bit, which I think is very helpful. So we did bring up balance, and I want to use the 416 as an example of a gun that can be inherently imbalanced depending on your setup, because the 416 here, you notice I try to balance it on the mag well, and it just wants to tip forward on me. I do that with this old school M4A1, and it actually wants to tip a little bit back, but I can balance it on the mag well. So this gun is a little more balanced toward the receiver because I've got a crane stock on here with a Titan battery. And the battery you choose and how you store that battery and even the position you put your stock at, that can all affect the gun's balance. So you want to set up a gun so that it's well balanced for you, because that'll keep the strain on your arms relatively even, and it will make it so that having the gun up and ready it's not trying to sag on you one way or another. And I know that can be mitigated by just pulling in on the gun harder, but that fatigues you faster. So
speaking on stocks, the ARP9 comes with this wire stock that's steel and polymer, so it was really unbalanced. And what I ended up doing was buying, I've had this for a long time, this is the Mabel Ace Ultralight stock, and this is Ultralight aluminum. So this makes it super balanced and super light, and that's why I threw it on there. So if these aren't uncommon, you can still buy these. And if you have the option, because I have a Titan in here, and I can just throw the battery back here and have no worries about the MOSFET being with the stock G&G ARP9 with the MOSFET being in the stock. The Titan, it just has one wire.
And that's something else that is interesting, is a lot of people, when they're picking a light gun, think, I'll go for a PDW style gun, like an ARP or a Crytek PDW or the Modify XTC. PDW stocks are a lot heavier than people think they are. And PDWs, as a result, are a lot heavier than people think they are. You are better off, honestly, like this all steel folding stock on this AK is lighter than a PDW style stock.
In some cases, especially like the Crytek PDW.
Yeah, and that is way fucking lighter.
Way lighter.
Yeah,
now the difference.
Yeah, now you can't collapse it,
Nope.
which is a downside, but I gotta be honest, I don't know that many people who actually like run their stocks fully collapsed, because most people put battery extensions on there.
Or some people have, their preferred stock and they just leave it there.
Yeah. So I don't think that the PDW collapsing stock, unless you like really need the space for transportation, which is a whole different concern, I don't think PDW stocks are as good as a lot of people hype them up to be. My personal opinion. And another consideration that Ian just threw at us is the ergonomics of your gun can change, and can change how the balance affects how you carry the gun. So it does take just practice figuring out what your preferred setup is. Like for AKs, for me, I am very much used to just having the pistol grip and the rifle grip. And that's just how I carry the gun. Because with an AK, with the wooden handguard, or in this case, the taped up handguard for desolation, and then the pistol grip is a little bit straighter-ish on an AK than it is on many ARs. So it's very easy to carry it like that. And it's not hard at all to deal with whatever the balance of an AK is, just because you get a little bit of a better grip, I find, with the slightly straighter pistol grip. The 416A5 as well has a slightly straighter, meatier pistol grip, which I do think makes the fact that it's a little heavy and more front balanced, I think that makes it easier to deal with, but maybe you don't. Maybe you think that makes it a little more awkward. Whereas then you get something like a standard M4, as bog standard as you can get, really. And the pistol grip is more angled, so that's when you might want something that's like a little bit more of an, broom handle grip, and you might even want to do the old school broom handle grip style like the Army used to use back in the day, until everyone went thumb over bore Chris Costa. And what that does is it just makes the gun super easy to carry and super easy to keep up. I mean, this way, lets you do the fancy thumb over bore thing and do the super John Wick style. But this,
it's bare bones. I mean,
this
there's
isn't
nothing
going
wrong
anywhere.
with it.
Yeah, this is not going anywhere. I can hold it like this and be like, cool, I'm going to cover this sector for the next 4 hours.
There's nothing wrong with just leaving it bare bones, like just G&G. Sure, we don't have an optic on it. You can just throw an optic and you'd be fine.
But even iron sights, honestly, like Airsoft iron sights are underrated, I think.
Very underrated. That's why I have backup sights on my stuff.
Yeah, and I used iron sights on this thing for all of Desolation. I use iron sights on my PKM. So you can get away with iron sights if you want to save the weight of an optic.
Yeah.
And your optic choice, too, depends, because some optics are heavier than others.
For example, the 5.56 hollow sights are kind of bulky.
They're kind of bulky and they're a little heavy.
Yeah.
Now, is the T1 exactly the light or T1 style? This is a Bushnell. Is this the lightest choice on the market? Absolutely
you can
not.
buy an RMR, it's even lighter.
Yeah, but those save some form factor, and then you compare those to like the Comp M2 or an ACOG.
Or just this, the plain old NC Star reflex sights.
Yeah, those are light as hell. I think those are a little too light to the point where they're not durable, but depending on what your needs are, maybe they work.
Yeah. Another thing to keep in mind is what you throw on your front end. If you have like something like standard, like this is a K-Tech suppressor, super light, it's aluminum. Those can save on weight. But
very
if you throw
thin aluminum.
Very thin aluminum, or if you just stick with the stock G&G. I mean, obviously you don't want the orange on there, but you can just stick with a plastic one and it'll save on weight. But all too often I see people throw on super heavy suppressors and it just makes the gun fall forward.
Yeah, especially like you get those Mad Bull suppressors, and Mad Bull suppressors are literally chunks of aluminum.
Except for the black side.
The black side, is that hollow?
It's hollow and it's super light aluminum.
Okay, because I've had some Mad Bull suppressors and like the KAC style suppressors. Some of those are heavy.
Yeah.
And then people will throw those onto like their CQBR builds. And yes, if you're going for the suppressor look, I'm a fan of the suppressor look. I rock it on several of my guns. But if you're looking to save weight, that's the number one thing to skip. Or if you're looking for a light suppressor, K-Tech suppressors, very, very light. Or if you get some of the suppressors, they're just really thin. I'm almost going to recommend like getting an Ace Tech tracer and keeping the batteries out of it if you're not using it, because those are very light if you don't have batteries in them.
Yep, and the Mad Bull black side, also super light. Yeah. I'd recommend that one.
Or, I mean, just stick with a flash hider, because, I mean, it looks cool, right? No one thinks old school M4s look cool anymore.
It's okay.
Oh, well. I still do. I still love you, old school M4.
Hopefully this was somewhat educational to you if you're looking to pimp out your gun that you just got. And,
and keep it light and not overload yourself. So, anyways, I've been E-House.
I'm Amy.
And we will catch you in the next one.
See ya.
Peace. Thank you for watching this video from Gun Gamers. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. Check the description below if you'd like to buy a t-shirt or a patch, and use the coupon code JUDY10 for 10% off of your next order at Amped Airsoft. Thank you again for watching, and praise Judy. Oh yeah, people wanted more SpeedSim, and we're back. Because we're kind.
We're back and better than ever.
We're
Hashtags is here.
What? You went like into a whole song there.
You were ready to go.
Yeah, like you had that prepared. Have you been like practicing this in the week leading up?
No, it says it's Christmas time and now Hess trucks are back and better than ever.
Oh yeah, Hess trucks are back.
Yeah, that's why.
Have you been watching like a lot of TV? In this
yes. Just wait until after this week.
I don't watch TV.
Okay, well, good for you.
Yeah, congratulations. Ooh, we got someone who doesn't watch TV here.
Oh
Everyone give him a fucking round of applause.
Well, fuck you too.
We all give a shit.
No one cares.
Yeah. All right.